By the time Neptune left Capricorn in 1998, the influence of conservative lobbying and think tanks dominated politics. But was it all about to change in radical Aquarius? And how susceptible to political manipulation were we in the era of information and disinformation?
If you believe you've been a victim of sexual harassment by the president, we want to help.
As the Aquarian technological era dawned, Aquarian sociological experiments became entertainment. As Neptune crossed the first degree of Aquarius, with mass Aquarian voyeurism activating the Leo polarity with a spectacle of fame-hungry contestants vying for mass popularity lest they be democratically voted off the show.
There's no avoiding it. Y2K is almost upon us. But will it bring impending doom?
With the rise of computer technology, instant communication and the World Wide Web, we may have felt the Aquarian age was finally here. But although Aquarius is all about personal freedom, Neptune can often undermine. With the continued sextile to transformational Pluto and Sagittarius, global upheavals in belief systems and religious extremism were parallel with the logic-driven atheism and agnosticism of Aquarius Neptune. Not to mention the transit of Pluto to the United States Sagittarian ascendant. There is no shortage of astrological analysis for this event, but just for basics, with the ascendant conjunct Mercury based on the time of the first plane hitting at 14 degrees Libra, it's conjunct the US natal Saturn. And coincidentally, the CIA's covert natal Neptune. And fascinating enough, Sayyid Qutb, the ideological father of modern jihad's natal sun, is exactly conjunct the ascendant Mercury. His Mars is conjunct the Sun, and his theological Neptune-Jupiter conjunction is conjunct Jupiter and the midheaven. Although clearly an Orwellian culture of information manipulation was emerging, last time Neptune was in Aquarius in the mid-19th century, Neptune itself was discovered and revolutions took Europe by storm. And this time was much the same, with globally individualistic Neptune and Aquarius creating self-organizing networks via online communities and taking Saturnian authorities by surprise.
So this is the situation here, incredible scenes. Parliament in the hands of these opposition supporters, and the MPs fled so quickly that they even left their papers behind.
Millions of people were amassed via the internet to form self-organizing revolutions, where everyday people took down repressive regimes with no guiding ideology except an Aquarian desire for self-determination and freedom. Arab Spring begins in Tunisia after the Promethean self-immolation of 26-year-old Mohammed Bouazizi. As the harassed street merchants' intense Mars in transformational Scorpio is being squared by Neptune and Chiron and conjunct by Venus, his public suicide ignited a revolutionary wave of demonstrations and protests that quickly spread across the Arab world. All importantly, the coordination of large-scale protests was via the use of social networking. Neptune in revolutionary Aquarius created many forms of protest, with 36 million people globally protesting the Iraq invasion. But as powerful Pluto moved into corporate Capricorn, the banking system's utter corruption was exposed in the stock market crash of 2008.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Over 700 points. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate.
As Pluto conjunct Gen Y's generational Neptune in financial Capricorn, it awakened many to the phenomenal disparity of wealth and corruption, inspiring the Occupy Wall Street movement. With a typical Aquarian, decentralized, consensus-based style of leadership. With this new Neptune Aquarian democratic dream spreading an ideology of freedom, it came as a shock to many that in the world's largest democracy, the USA, you could be elected president with the second highest number of votes. In the year 2000, many of us learnt it's not the popular vote that elects the President of the United States, but the Electoral College's vote. Last time this happened was over 100 years ago in 1888, when Neptune had just entered the air sign Gemini, conjunct power-hungry Pluto. But the ever-elusive Neptune in technological Aquarius reached a deceptive saturation with the 2004 US elections, where electronic voting machines were used in the key states of Ohio and Florida.
And she said, "You don't understand, we need to hide the fraud in the source code.
Hide the fraud, not reveal the fraud.
Not reveal the fraud, because it's needed to control the vote in South Florida," was what she said.
That's what she said.
But all the while, deceptive Neptune exactly conjunct the Electoral College's controlling Pluto. With power-hungry Pluto in Sagittarius opposing America's planet of war, Mars in Gemini, Aquarian people power was seemingly undermined. In an era of giant media monopolies, media players like Rupert Murdoch, whom publicly supported the war, simply broadcast disinformation to support their political and financial affiliations.
Weapons of mass destruction were found in Iraq, but it was kept secret.
With Neptune in political Aquarius, fashion got edgy. Skull and crossbones, traditional symbols of pirates and interpreted modern-day symbol of rebellion, became a huge fashion icon. With Neptune in Aquarius, the rebellious image was everything, with the emphasis on image. The symbol of revolutionary Che Guevara became a popular fashion icon, and the previously punk rock anti-fashion statement of ripped jeans was now a fashion commodity, already pre-ripped. In continuing with the Aquarian punk rebel theme, celebrities and pop stars wanted to be seen wearing authentic old-school punk band t-shirts. The Iranian spirit of punk now became a commodity, a symbol of pre-commercial authenticity. For much the same reason, vintage-style t-shirts became popular. In the previous era, they were cheap thrift store finds for the anti-consumer culture, but now brand new were made to look worn out and authentic for the new rebel chic. The rebellious image of hip-hop was now also in demand, with huge cultural implications for fashion. As subcultures fragmented, an era of revivals was ignited by the emerging Gen Y generation. Born with Neptune in Capricorn, they have an appreciation for the pre-digital era and its assumed authenticity, yet incorporating the digital age in a mashup of overall style surfing. Gen Y brought back from their childhood the 80s revival and a popular 80s movie fad, although the ironic hipster culture was the most obvious Gen Y fashion movement. Hipster culture was a subculture of the late 40s and 50s, a generation also born with Neptune in an earth sign, sharp, cynical Virgo, reacting against the gross materialism of the era. Now with Neptune in Capricorn generation coming of age, it represents Capricorn in its revivalist mode. Saturn signs nostalgia for styles of the authentic past, with an earth sign awareness of ecological choices. Gen Y have a reputation for staying home with their parents much later than Gen X, which fits the careful, painstakingly thrifty nature of Capricorn. They are often blamed for gentrification, but to be fair, this gentrification began with the unregulated land use and property speculation of the previous Neptune in Capricorn era when they were just children. It's more that this hipster movement is prepared to pay the high rents to live in glamorous, previously cheap artists and minority neighborhoods. Once again, a connection to the authenticity these places previously represented. Neptune and Capricorn's generation don't just love vintage boutiques, folksy homemade pickles, and a 19th century pioneer aesthetic. They love small business. In fact, it's pretty hard to separate the word business from Capricorn. They have an overwhelming entrepreneurial spirit. Gen Y's Neptune and Capricorn stamp is shrewd about money and has an almost institutionalized understanding of world economics, leading in the following era to the highly successful divestment movement. Most millennials also have all-powerful Pluto in its own sign of Scorpio, suggesting a generation born into profound social transformation. Taking into account the future economic paradigm shifts of the 2020s, this generation's financially savvy Neptune in Capricorn and profoundly transformational Pluto in Scorpio, it would seem the millennial generation has the unique skills to oversee the collapse of outdated structures and to challenge the economic elite. Scientific data on global warming became undeniable, the fossil fuel industry spent millions of dollars to persuade politicians and suppress facts about climate change, and their greatest strength in the Neptune and Aquarius era of information was disinformation. Whistleblowing website WikiLeaks dominated the news with its steady drip feed of secret documents and its enigmatic frontman Julian Assange. Born with Neptune conjunct his Sagittarian ascendant conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio, opposed by authoritative Saturn. an Aquarian symbol of the power of the individual in their moral fight against tyranny, although for embarrassed corporations and the US government, was public enemy number one. After releasing top classified and deeply embarrassing US military documents in 2010, with Neptune still looming around Assange's natal Mars and trine his Venus, a mysterious extradition warrant is issued from Sweden, Neptunian in its foggy legal contradictions and scandalous potential. The US now citing the 1917 Espionage Act threatening online money movers Amazon and PayPal if they supported the WikiLeaks site. They could be charged with aiding and abetting the enemy. Playing out like a real-life, high-action conspiracy movie, Assange's fight to escape extradition takes us into the next era of Neptune in Pisces, when Pluto moves into opposition of his Cancer sun and he takes refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy. With slippery Neptune in virtual Aquarius, nothing on the web was secure.
While I was working on those streets, watching those folks see their jobs shipped overseas, you were a corporate lawyer sitting on the board of Walmart. I was fighting these fights.
November 2008, with Aquarius's ruler radical Uranus opposing old guard Saturn, underdog Barack Obama becomes the first black US president and the first Gen X president. With Neptune transiting his Aquarius ascendant first house, his intelligent and standoffish Aquarius ascendant qualities gave a breath of hope not just to the US but the whole world, as foreign policy now affected the globe. Nonetheless, his role as president continued the same Big Brother Neptune and Aquarius rhetoric. As Neptune in Aquarius promoted the pervasive cultural value of individualism, a self-interested polarity dominated our postmodern climate. As psychologists said we had entered an era of extreme narcissism, a similar label also touted at youth during the Neptune and Leo era of the 1920s. Society now had virtual online identities, with many claiming online addictions. It seemed all niches were covered under Aquarius's inclusive dream. In music, the mashup of styles dominated the era. The computer revolution changed every aspect of music, from recording to distribution and format. When the record industry moved into litigation against the teenage boys whom created Napster, a peer-to-peer software, in June 1999, their lawyers were able to successfully crush the website. But this was Neptune in Aquarius, not Neptune in Capricorn, and an idea alone could now mean more than an army of lawyers. music software and downloading were now in the collective, with artists seeing it as either evil or heaven sent.
Napster is an evil place to go.
It's theft, basically, pure and simple.
Of life and commerciality out of the corporate world and give it back to the individuals.
Just give the fans the music, you know what I'm saying?
It's bringing true democracy back into the music business, and it's forcing the artist to change the way that we relate to the consumer.
There's no doubt in my mind that the future of music is free.
The Napster whiz kids went on to help create other technological giants, including Facebook, Spotify, and various games. While the music industry was using lawsuits to tame the untamable, Apple jumped ahead of the curve with the new online iTunes store. Born with Neptune opposite expansive Jupiter trine Venus in Aries. Apple Computer's great revival began as soon as Neptune entered Aquarius with a new Aquarian advertising campaign, Think Different. Followed up by the highly successful iMac and iBook, available for the first time in individualistic colors. Apple's vision of the computer as the entertainment center was now a reality. Later in 2007, while Venus and Saturn were conjunct opposite Neptune and Aquarius, the introduction of the iPhone would begin a smartphone revolution. Electronic-style music production was available to everyone, and previously unimaginable editing techniques and sound creation tools were available. Previously underground styles became mainstream, with electronic dance music heavily influencing the new pop format. With robotic Aquarius, even the human voice was now intentionally altered to sound artificial. The term auto-tune or A-tune, referring to the software of that name, pitch shifts your voice to the correct pitch, originally used by physically attractive but vocally challenged boy bands in the 90s. The Aquarian theme of anyone can now sing if they use the software took hold.
Let me buy you a drink. I'm T-Pain. You know me. Convict music, never boy. I know the club goes at 3.
With natal Neptune conjunct his Sagittarian ascendant, Eminem broke the racial divide in hip-hop. As transiting Pluto conjunct his Neptune rising, his sudden rise to fame transformed the genre. hip-hop being created by the Neptune and Scorpio generation, it may not seem strange that Scorpio's modern and traditional rulers, deadly Pluto and aggressive Mars, in aspect is a consistent signature in the charts of successful hip-hop artists, suiting the powerfully sexualized gangster image as well as the issues of violence long plaguing the genre.
The ladies, they love me. From the bleachers, they screaming. All the ballers is bouncing. They like the way I be leaning.
Highlighting the natural square from Aquarius to Scorpio, the Neptune and Scorpio genre of rock somewhat diminished in popularity, although Aquarius' love of the rebel made indie and pop-punk acts popular throughout the Neptune and Aquarius era. Neptune and Aquarius' obsession with reality TV created reality TV pop stars, democratically giving TV viewers the chance to make or break celebrities. The Aquarian ideal that anyone could be a star and that they should be democratically voted in, with an army of songwriters and producers ready to manufacture a star based on TV viewer votes. The children's pop music market that kicked off with the Wiggles during the Neptune-Uranus conjunction of the previous era now went global, and the hot new demographic was tweenagers, with Justin Bieber born during that same radical Uranus-Neptune conjunction in Capricorn, becoming a mega tween star. While in the previous era, Gen X had rebelled against the baby boomers with their own hip-hop, punk and electronica, during Neptune and Aquarius, Gen Y were much more appreciative of the past, with their Neptune and Capricorn's love of traditional authenticity, variations and revivals. With a Neptune and Capricornian craftsmanship, much of the new revival music sounded almost indistinguishable from its influence. Music like K-pop, government-backed, aesthetically pleasing pop music from South Korea found its Western niche.
With no broke. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head.
Highlighting the royal Leo polarity of Aquarius, children of celebrities were now rushed into the fame game, where even the once needed humble origins for hip-hop were now washed aside for the ambitious children of millionaire celebrities. The new generation of Neptune and Saturn sign Capricorn statistically drank less and took less drugs than previous generations, Although new non-drug addictions were appearing in mental Aquarius's reign, addictions to gaming, pornography, and the internet itself became the new hashtag addictions. While statistics for heroin use declined after previous era's epidemic, new opiate-based pharmaceuticals flooded the market. With Neptune in Aquarius opposing the baby boomers Pluto and Leo, news reports claimed baby boomers were resurrecting their drinking and drugs party lifestyle. And in what could be seen as a bizarre role swap, the sensible Neptune and Capricorn generation were now criticizing the irresponsible baby boomers' indulgent youth like Pluto and Leo. With new technological chemical processes, a new potent crystal meth became the most widespread illegal drug of the Neptune and Aquarius era. Affecting the nervous system in an exaggerated Uranian way, methamphetamines were first created during the Neptune-Pluto conjunction of the 1890s, but it was Japanese chemist Akira Ogata who first created crystal meth while Neptune was in Aquarius's polarity of Leo in 1919. After this Leo degree was opposed by Neptune in 2005, the US passed the Combat Methamphetamine Epidemic Act. The Aquarian influence made crystal meth the theme of a popular TV series, and the World Wide Web allowed Silk Road, a dark web internet site, to evade authorities by distributing drugs online. In the previous era, accidental death via drugs was most attributed to heroin and cocaine, but now opiate-based pharmaceutical drugs were by far the biggest causes of accidental death. Alternatives to the dominant religions found far greater access in the Aquarian era. Western spirituality continued its mixing and matching of influences, often with Uranian-like contradictions. With Neptune in an air sign, image becomes far more persuasive. Even though Christianity was losing its influence, a savvy, image-oriented Pentecostal church made leaps and bounds in the era, even though their belief system was the very un-Aquarian, homophobic, pro-life, and denying climate change. Hillsong Church's constant youth-oriented image of cool fun, more like a rock concert than church, gained great popularity in the era, particularly with Neptune and Capricorn generation who wanted traditional religion with a modern image. An Aquarian rebel image to many in his David and Goliath stance with military dominating China, the Dalai Lama became the single most widely esteemed religious figure in the world. The interfaith movement typically gained great popularity in Aquarius's eclectic reign. The era saw further expansion of gay rights, with many countries recognizing civil unions and the Netherlands being the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage. In an era of androgynous Aquarius, transgender gained legality. with continued media attention. Not surprising for controversial Aquarius, documentaries were popular, with Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 becoming the highest-grossing documentary of all time. Not only did the original distributors, Disney, do everything in their power to stop the release of the film, his Oscar-winning acceptance speech reminded everyone it was Neptune and Aquarius, not Capricorn.
We live in a time where we have fictitious election results that elects a fictitious president. We live in a time where we have a man sending us to war for fictitious reasons, whether it's the fictition of duct tape or the fictitious of orange alerts. We are against this war, Mr. Bush.
We had the incredibly hyped technological wonder of Avatar, and the ultimate Aquarius conspiracy movie, The Matrix, started off the era.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The anti-hero's moral choice of doing bad for good suited Uranian Aquarius, as did the rebel-imaged pirate theme continuing in film and fashion.